Probably more so than any other resort I've been to this year, Amiana surprised me in almost every way. Amiana Resort and Villas is located around 32 kilometers north of Cam Ranh Airport, on the very northernmost edge of what most would consider the actual city of Nha Trang. And as always, the views when driving around Nha Trang or through Nha Trang or to Nha Trang are stunning. Amiana originally opened in 2013, and to my knowledge they have not had a renovation since then, but that's not to say that they need it. Now, let me start to explain why I say that my stay at Amiana was so surprising, because there are a lot of reasons, to be honest, but I will say that they're definitely all good surprises. Unlike in Da Nang, where most of the resorts, or many of the resorts, are both in the city and directly on the beach, Nha Trang preserves the beach for locals, and has a boulevard separating any hotels and the actual beach, except for two. On the far south edge is Iveson Anamandara, which you can check out that review for, and on the far north edge you have Amiana. So coming in at just over 7 hectares of land, Amiana's footprint is limited, but that's the best thing about the property, the layout and the design. Before we dive into the design though, let's take a look at the open air lobby. It's huge for what feels like a pretty small hotel with 153 rooms and villas. This shot of the lobby was taken very early in the morning, as the night that I was at Amiana, they were completely full, which in and of itself is an accomplishment in March of 2021, considering the borders here are still closed. Just take note of this pond when we visit the restaurant later, as this is actually the roof of the restaurant, which has tons of natural light from the skylights. One of the reasons that perhaps my expectations were a bit lower before arrival was the price. Including taxes, I only paid $122 for an ocean villa. That's their highest non-pool villa category. That is more than reasonable, and I'm sure that's why they were able to operate at full capacity and continue to employ a full staff. Getting back to the design, this part of the coastline does not have a natural sand beach, but the designers here took that and ran with it. All accommodations at Amiana are in single-story structures, which, depending on the category of your room, has anywhere from 1 to 8 rooms inside of it. So that's the first thing. Despite it not being a massive resort, it feels spread out, and with the exception of perhaps the buffet breakfast, it never felt crowded. Another reason it never felt so crowded though is because of how much cleverly designed space they designated for public areas. I've never done this before, but when I was figuring out the land area estimate on Google Maps, I wanted to know the area of just the public areas that they designated, and it was almost 40% of the total resort area. And that doesn't include any of the pathways or the large green areas surrounding every accommodation structure. In the distance, you can see the beautiful open-air spa, which we'll take a look at later. The resort has 1 large restaurant and 3 bars. One that you saw in the lobby, one at the adult pool that you'll see later, and the last adjacent to the main restaurant. This pool is their centerpiece, a 2,500 square meter saltwater pool that is surrounded by tons of chairs and umbrellas. On the left side of it, you can see the private beach, and on the far side, you have the start of the boardwalk, which extends basically the full length of the property. As we walk to take a peek at their largest freshwater pool, you're going to get your first glimpse of the Nha Trang skyline in the distance. This infinity pool is around 700 square meters in size and has the restaurant, one of the bars, and the kids club behind it. While the saltwater pool also has shallow areas, this pool was the choice of most families as it has a designated children's area at the far end. I obviously didn't count how many loungers they had, though that does sound like something I do. But I think it's safe to say there was definitely enough space at all times of the day, whether you wanted to sunbathe on the beach or relax in one of the many hammocks that you'll see in a little bit. One thing I do really appreciate though is how this clip was filmed at 6:55 in the morning, and you can see that every single chair and umbrella is already set up. The beach area, while it is man-made, is beautiful and impeccably maintained throughout the day. And because it's on a private cove, the water here is always calm, just like you see it right now. By the way, if that small peninsula on the left wasn't there, you'd be able to see clear over to Six Senses Ninh Văn Bay. If you'd like to check out that review, our video link is above. Just behind the beach is the resort's third pool. This lush area was a welcome addition as it was for adults only and hosted one of their 3 bars, which was also swim up. Lucky for us adults, this was also where you could probably get the best view of the Nha Trang skyline. Now we're going to head up to the spa and mud bath area. The spa, with a total of 15 rooms, had 7 unique ocean view mud bath suites, as they're called. Mud baths are something that you either love or you hate, but the prices in general at Amiana's spa were pretty reasonable, so if you've ever been looking to try one out, I can't imagine doing so with a much better view. It's finally time to check out my ocean villa, but first let's take a drive from the spa to the villa's area. As you can see, all of the structures are well spaced out and really do give you a sense of having your own front yard and private beach. This was my room during my stay. I have to point out that beyond the fact that the interiors were truly spotless, the materials inside also don't look 8 years old. Everything feels fresh and relatively new. The ocean villas have an open plan bedroom, living room combination with a separate indoor and outdoor bathroom behind. Again, considering the price of this room, there are absolutely no complaints from me about the bottled water or minibar setup. In addition to having a minibar that was actually stocked, they also had illy espresso pods and ground coffee for a traditional fiend available. There's certainly a beautiful view from the bed, but just keep in mind that that path out front is pretty active. The bathroom, mostly because of the outdoor space, was stunning and fully stocked with anything that you'd need, including thoughtful touches like makeup towels and beach bags. Now, as much as I do love this surprising outdoor space, I do wish that two things were different. First, the only shower is in that massive bathtub. I reckon there are some folks out there that would have trouble stepping in or out. Secondly, the full area is covered in plexiglass. Obviously, this is good because it allows you to take a shower or take a bath without being in the elements, but I wish the plexi only covered part of the area just so that there was more airflow. In the middle of the day, this little outdoor room baked like an oven. As you may expect by now, along with everything else, the food throughout my stay did not disappoint. I hope none of you are getting bored of looking at Caesar salads or basic pizzas, but honestly, it's the only way that I can judge a resort's food relatively fairly compared to the others. The clouds made for a bit of a disappointing sunset, but you can't beat the view of the city. Normally, I don't film at night for, I think, pretty obvious reasons, but I had to here. I think the camera picks it up pretty well, as the dining atmosphere was just really nice during dinner time. My dinner was good, if not a bit carb heavy, but that was my fault for only reading the Vietnamese descriptions. Flavors were great though. Luckily, we were able to get a bit of a better sunrise. One part of the hotel's design that I really liked was this beach of sorts that ran for over 300 meters directly in front of the ocean villas. Again, it was maintained really well with tons of seating and also a lot of shade in the area as well. Heading down now to the Walkaround restaurant, which had a daily buffet breakfast, and it was absolutely massive. I honestly cannot remember the last time that I saw a buffet that had so many options, many of which were cooked to order. The restaurant and the bar next to it were also visually separated pretty well, so even though this restaurant was huge, it never felt like a characterless banquet hall or something like that. While Amiana is not affiliated with any major hotel brands or groups, I could easily see them being branded as an Andaz or a Westin or some similar level property. That's not to say that I want them to. It's great to see that an independently managed hotel can do it so well. I'm just saying that they wouldn't be out of place in a number of portfolios. In addition to the normal fare, there were live stations for eggs, waffles and pancakes, ban seo, ban kan, banh mi, noodle soups, fresh juices, and more. It was literally endless, as you're probably starting to feel, and I cut quite a bit out. After all of that food, it was time for the gym. I'll admit, it was a bit of a strange layout and makes me think perhaps this was a temporary solution while they're renovating the actual gym. And that has quickly brought us to the end of this review. Amiana truly is a wonderful little resort on the edge of Nha Trang. Whether you're a single traveler, a couple, or a family, it really does have something for everyone, and unlike many other hotels, for this one I would say just book the best room which fits in your budget. And remember that even if that's the cheapest room, you're still benefiting from all of the outstanding public areas. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And to see a lot more content coming, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our next video.